So hi, welcome to Good Noise Podcast. We're here with Alex from America Part 2. We're going to ask him some questions today. I'm going to start. So like I said, but while we were just talking beforehand, I was at that gig that you guys played a few weeks ago at the clubhouse. Can you tell me how that happened and what it was like playing a show like that? Like a
Oh my
socially
god,
distant show.
it was crazy. Let me just first say thanks for having me, guys. Good Noise
Thank you for
Podcast
coming
is
on.
Yeah.
really cool. And just to give the viewers some context, I'm at my manager's house right now by the fire. If you hear in the background laughing and whatnot, that's just the Dim Entertainment family, great people. But so yeah, we did the first drive-in show in New Jersey. It was such an honor to be a part of. It's funny actually how it happened because we were shooting a music video and we were like kind of sketched out about doing a music video at this local venue called the Clubhouse in Toms River, New Jersey. Because it was still kind of like in lockdown time and whatever. We didn't want to have a big group of people. We kind of just wanted it to be the band, the videographer, that's it. And we ended up meeting up with the owner of the venue, Jimmy. Great person. He hosted us to shoot the video there. And while we were shooting our music video, he was like, yo, I'm thinking about doing a drive-in concert. Like, would you guys want to be like a trial run for it or something? And we're like, yeah, sure. And like literally within a week, the show happened. It was like really quick. And like, we were just down to play. We were dying to play. And by the time it actually came around, it was just, it was perfectly put together. Big ups to the Clubhouse. And it was really cool the way it happened because the sound was transmitted through FM radio. So there was, every car had their own individual mix, which was really cool. So they could bump it, they could do it quiet. And if you open the windows, you can hear the instruments, but there was no vocal PA going outward. So it was awesome. And the vibe of the drive-in show was so rich because like people had been just dying for something to do as we, So it was like, it was a packed lot, fully packed, at least three people per car. And like people were dancing around out there. And it was such an honor to be able to bring that to New Jersey. I mean, there was people crowding around from the town, just walking up from a distance, just like, what is happening, Yeah. And yeah, it was an honor.
Yeah. The second it got moved from Friday to Sunday, I was like, I got to go because I was working Friday and bummed I was going to miss it. But the second it hit Sunday, I was like, that's it. I'm going to be there. Drag my girlfriend along and because I had been dying to go to a show. So like you said,
I'm glad that actually happened because I was kind of worried that it moved from Friday to Sunday. I was like, oh, now no one's going to come, like it's going to stop. And now here we are. So that's great.
Yeah.
Sick. So, because we're on the topic of live music, I wanted to ask you, do you have any pre-show rituals?
That's a great question. I've been playing live music for like 10 years now. I started playing shows when I was like 12. Same with Sam and Fred, my band members as well.
Wow.
Fred.
Sorry.
I actually have been in bands together ever since. So he's my brother, really.
That's so cool.
And I never used to have like rituals like that, but in the last couple years, since we started America Part 2, like we just came into this so like because we started 10 years ago playing music and stuff like that. Like we left home at 17 and started touring in our old like pop punk bands and whatnot. And like when we started this band, we're like, all right, like we're gonna take everything that we've learned and put it into something that can grow bigger than we are. And that's kind of the energy that we put into the band, hence the ginormousness of the name itself, because like it's something to live up to more than anything. And I think being in this band has made us better people because it's something to live up to. And that being said, as far as pre-show rituals, now we've all gotten heavily into meditation, into yoga, into looking more inward instead of always projecting outward. And that has really, really helped us in our live sets. Like we'll take moments of silence before we go on. We'll kind of like hold hands with each other and like, or not, and just kind of like embrace in a moment of like clarity with each other and silence before we do it. So I'd say meditation is probably number one.
Okay.
Wow. We haven't heard that one before. That's really nice. I like that one.
Thank you.
So, what are your top 3 songs to perform live?
Ooh, that's a good question. We've been recording an album for like a year and a half that we actually just finished. So
Oh,
I've been like peeking out new songs here and there, which has been really, really fun. Um, I'd say, okay, one of my favorites, especially one that's out, is called Hoedown, What Do You Know? That's off our EP Pure. And we tend to end with that song because it's kind of like the crowd always reacts really, really well to that song. So that's always been a huge one for us. It's just like we jam out the ending a little bit extra and like everyone has a good time. You know, it's kind of like the big finale or whatever. California is another one that has been really good live. Like, again, it's kind of just to me about like the vibe of what the audience is giving back to us because it's kind of a two-way street. So California has always been one of those tracks that the audience really vibes with. And I guess I'd say after that, it's kind of a tie between like Split and I Don't Wanna because both of those are like more of our like harder tracks, I guess. And like Split was kind of like, I like to say like the song that set us free. Like we live tracked and just kind of let that rip. And it was a complete 180 from the sound of Pure. So after that song, it was kind of like anything goes. And we started recording just our organic sounds live with our hands instead of kind of like going through the whole digital thing. So to me, those kind of represent like something much, much deeper. So yeah.
Okay.
wow, that's good to hear. 'Cause
Yeah.
Split's like my favorite song, so that's awesome.
Yeah, the 2 at the end were the ones that stuck out to me, like during the live show. Split and I Don't Wanna were 2 that stuck out to me, yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
That.
So, because we're still on the topic of live music, do you have a dream venue, like top tier bucket
Yes.
list venue?
Yes, the Coliseum.
Ooh,
All right.
solid.
Solid, yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to shift away from live music and just move on to more music talk. So what inspired you to start making music, and what does the band name mean?
All right, those are two hefty questions. So I'll start with the first. I guess I started playing piano when I was like 5 years old. I had piano because my mom, like, she was taking lessons and she gave my sister and I both lessons, but I hated it because it was like telling me what to do, you know.
Yeah.
And then like very like anti, right? So I was like, oh, I hate piano. I hate this. I hate that. By the time I was like 10 years old, I took guitar. Just because like I thought it was super, super cool. Like, it's guitar, you know, like so many guitar players have existed, you know, so I was like, that's a cool instrument. So I got an acoustic. My dad bought me like a $50 acoustic. He was like, you'll never stick with this. So he got me the cheapest thing that he had, you know. And a year later, I got an electric because my neighbor, who was my best friend at the time, Brennan, he got an electric. And I was like, man, I want to learn how to play Sweet Child of Mine. So I got that and like a little Marshall practice amp and started learning electric. And that's kind of just how it started. It was kind of like a natural kind of like just build, I guess, for like my social circle, I guess. It was kind of like that. If I had to say like something that sparked like an explosion in my brain, as far as like bringing my life towards music, I had 2 moments. One, when I was 8 years old, my older cousin, who I looked at as like my older brother, best musician I've ever known in my life, he showed me Slipknot and Slayer on his iPod, full blast, and I was 8, and he just blasted me with that in my ears, and I was like shook for like years. Like I was like, there's nothing crazier than what I just experienced. Like, holy shit. So I was like home watching YouTube videos of Slipknot now, and my mom was horrified. And then the second one was when I was 12, my older sister went to Bamboozle Fest and 2008, and I was in 7th grade. And for some reason, because my sister was going, my parents let me go with like a couple of my friends and one of their moms or whatever. And as soon as I stepped foot onto that ground, like my whole brain was split open. Like it was like rainbows were just like flying into my mind. Like it was my first everything. First time I smelled weed. First time I saw a transgender person. First time I saw all these bands play live. I saw just like culture, like at its fullest, like right in front of that. And when I got home, I started a band. it was like
Damn.
game over at that point.
Okay.
So I'd say that's how I got started in music. What was the other question?
What does your band name mean?
Another great question. So I lived in a house with Fred, who I mentioned before. He's the bassist in America Part 2. I lived in a house with him and 4 other people, I guess like 3 years ago. And we had been, like I said, I was in like a pop punk band and whatever, this and that before. I'd been playing music forever, and I kind of took a break. We all kind of took a break because it kind of just it reached this point. We were kind of beaten down by touring, DIY, and this and that.
Yeah.
And, you know, we came to this point where we were living in this house together, and we were all kind of writing music, but like didn't have anywhere to put it. And eventually we're like, fuck it, let's start a band. We have a jam space. Like, let's just put our shit together.
Yeah.
And Freddie wrote a song called America. And then he wrote another song called America Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, you know, we were trying to think of a band name. And, you know, like I said before, we were trying to be like, all right, let's go about this band like the right way, like whatever.
Yeah.
So we made like a list of like 100 names. We're like,
Oh my God.
which one's going to be, you know? Didn't end up being any of them. None of them were. And then Jake, who was the original founding 3rd member of America Part 2, he's not in the band anymore. But he was like, yo, what if we call the band America Part 2, which was the name of that song? And Fred and I were kind of like, and we slept on it. And the next day we came together and we were like, yeah, there is just so much power in that name. There's so much to dig into. And like I mentioned before, so much to live up to, like with that name. Like we established that name and how we're going to write it with just full out PARTTWO, 3 words. Like that needs to be at the top of Bonnaroo. Like that is a statement, and that's like everything that we've ever aspired to do with music is affect culture in a positive way. And this is the perfect outlet to do it. And from then on, we kind of started finding our voice, and we put some songs together and made the Pure EP, and then Split to me is really the first like purebred America Part 2 song.
Oh.
Sick. All right, that's a cool backstory.
Yeah.
Can you?
I was
Are you
going to
gonna
ask the same
name?
question.
Yeah. Oh my God, you
Go for it.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I hate it here. Can you remember any of the 100 names that you guys came up with?
That's a great question. I don't really know. I feel like recently we were talking about it actually, but I don't really remember. I came up with a couple of really bogus ones. Like I don't remember them. Like I was just like, you guys can handle that. Like I don't really know.
Yeah.
It was just dumb stuff. Just like, I don't know, just generic stuff. Like I couldn't even tell you, but yeah.
All right.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah, I get that. A lot of embarrassing shit, I would assume.
So, what is your writing process like?
That's a good question. So America Part 2 is a 3-piece for those listening who don't know. Drums, bass, and guitar. All 3 of us are songwriters. Sam, our drummer, actually came from a metal band called Illusionist before he was in our band. He was one of the primary songwriters in that band. And Fred and I are songwriters as well. So now that we're all together, it's kind of like the triangle is kind of always like spinning. It's like a fidget spinner or something. Like someone always has a little extra energy that moves it along.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating dynamic with the 3-piece. This is my first and only 3-piece band that I've been in. So it's like, it's awesome because it gives everyone enough space to like be their own musician, be their own person in the band, and like not step on any toes, even with songwriting, So we have 3 songwriters in the band. And so like, all right, for example, like this week, just yesterday we got back, we kind of left and just went on like a little camping trip, the 3 of us, because like we were going to go on tour and everything this summer and do a full US. We were going to release an album, blah, blah, blah. But none of that happened because of Corona and whatnot. So we were like, well, we need to get out and do things, you know. So we went camping, and we brought all our recording gear that we had to make some demos.
Mhm.
And so we ended up making 11 songs in a couple days, and like just like had fun and just made it. And the way we did that was Fred and I primarily brought like songs, you know, ones that we had written on an acoustic guitar or something. And then we would just like have Sam play drums to it, and he would write his own part that would spice it up. He would change up the time signature or something. And yeah, it's very fluid. It's very fluid. You know, of course we butt heads at times, you know, because there's like egos at play or whatever. But like the key is to see past that, because if you can, then you create some magic. So that's what we're after.
Yeah, I get
That's
that.
sick. Yeah.
So I know you keep on talking about this album. Is there anything that you can tell us about it?
Sure. Well, we're an independent band, so I don't have anyone, you know, holding me by a chain.
Sick. Good.
So yeah, we have a 10-song album. It is going to come out sometime this year. You know, we're working on locking down future touring plans. It's something that we've been working on for a year and a half now. We actually ended up bouncing between 3 producers to do it, because it was really hard to figure out like how to get the sounds that we wanted with other people. You know, we wanted to make a really raw record, and like a lot of producers nowadays aren't really into that. So, you know, we had to kind of like find our way as far as like how to get the sounds that we wanted, and translate the song written. The singles that we've put out thus far, Split, I Don't Wanna, Talk It Out, and The Bridge, are all going to be on it, except for we recorded a new version of Split.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's Split 2020.
Oh my God.
All right.
All right. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I guess that's all I'll tell you about the album. That's really all I know. I mean, we don't have a name yet, but
Oh, all right. All right. That's fair. That's
Yeah, I
fair.
get
That's
that.
fair. That's fair. So I don't have a good transition to this one anymore since we're not in quarantine, so I'm just gonna say it. What bands have you been listening to recently?
Oh, that's a good question as well. Amy Winehouse, Tribe Called Quest, some really old like blues stuff, like some Robert Johnson stuff like that.
Yeah.
We actually have a playlist on Spotify called Good Music Bad Times that we put out for some of our followers or whatever during quarantine, and we've been updating it like super frequently. So if you go on Spotify and you look at our profile, you'll see that there. That playlist has like everything all of us have been listening to. Yeah, some chiller stuff like Triathlon. Triathlon's a great like smaller kind of group that makes really, really great, more lo-fi stuff. Have a Good Season dropped like a really, really amazing album this year. Definitely haven't listened to it yet. They're good friends of ours. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty much what I've been listening to.
All right, very cool. We have all listened to the Have a Good Season record because we actually spoke to them not too long ago. So
We did.
You did?
yeah,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love them. They're close friends of ours. We've known them for a long time.
yeah, they were all very super cool.
They were wonderful.
Yeah, they were.
They're the sweet.
They are.
Honestly,
Yeah. So when you're writing music, what artists are your biggest inspirations?
Oh man. I feel like when writing music, there's kind of this there's the self, and then deeper than the self, there's like this like emotional well that kind of exists. And I find that a lot of my music, at least the good music that I write, comes from there. It really only comes when I get into that like vibe of like going a little bit deeper. So that's usually like emotional stuff, like I especially with America Part 2, like kind of the whole thing is like talking about what it's like to just live as a young adult today, just being a human being living right now. So a lot of it is literal, and a lot of it is very like just pure kind of honesty, like just shit ripped out of the journal, you know?
Mhm.
Um, some of it is like kind of spur of the moment. Like Fred will come over and he'll like be like, "Yo, I wrote this awesome guitar part," and he'll play it, and I'll just like kind of like freestyle on it or whatever. Like, so there's a little bit of that. In the record as well. Yeah, it comes from kind of a deep well, I'd say, primarily. Like that's why a lot of the music is very emotional. Like pretty much all of it is very emotional. Whether it be, positive, negative, whatever it's going to be. We're basically writing about like cultural climate, social climate, political climate, love, and our experiences. It's kind of just a combination of that, It's a lot through like our own eyes,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, where do you see the band or the project in the next 5 years?
Oh, now that's a big question. 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
5 years.
5 years. Well, we probably won't be at the Coliseum.
You never know.
I would like to say the Coliseum in 5 years, if not MSG in 5 years. Playing live is like I think the biggest thing for us, which is why I felt so grateful to do the drive-in, because to me, like the idolization of like a band or whatever, like I always picture like the festival, like the fucking, Reading headlining set.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
To me, that's like everything. So 5 years, headlining Reading, putting it out there, boom.
Speaking it into existence.
Exactly.
Got to manifest it.
Hell yeah.
Go for it.
Hell yeah. So good luck with that. I hope it does happen.
Yeah.
Guys, we'll all hang.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hell yeah. So for the last couple of questions, we're going to shift away from music, and we're going to head straight to death row. So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink? Thank you for laughing. No one's laughed.
Thank you for laughing.
My last meal would be homemade Greek beans with like a fat beer.
Okay.
Nice.
Like a fat beer, like a thick beer, like something ignorantly dark, just because it's my last one.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's fair.
Well, thank you.
So, if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Probably Toon World and Kingdom Hearts or something.
Ooh, I haven't heard that one. That one's good.
It's a new one.
That's good. We don't get that one enough.
Yeah. And I have the honor of asking the last question. Almost everyone we've asked it to says the most important question. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color, I'm super unoriginal. Since I was a kid, I was fed this, so it's probably just because I'm fucking brainwashed. But
You cut out
Wait,
there?
can you repeat it again?
Oh, blue. Yes.
Blue. Okay.
Blue.
All right.
My brain color is blue. That is my favorite.
All right. Any like specific shade or just blue?
Blue.
Just a deep royal blue, like just the classic. Like, you know what? Even better than that, like sea, like a good clear ocean blue. Like,
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
that's on the sky too. I mean, they're kind of a reflection of each other. So yeah, that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Solid.
So as I said, that is all the questions we have for you today. Is there anything you would like to plug?
I would just like to plug that America Part 2 is coming out with an album in 2020, probably fall. And thank you, Good Noise Podcast, for having me. I'd like to shout out for putting out an amazing record this year. Shout out Dim Entertainment. I already mentioned them. Shout out Fata Booking. And yeah, our friends and fam that are out there killing it. Thank all of you guys for keeping the scene alive just like we are. It's a really amazing community for young people to get into, and I hope that we can continue to propel it forward.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you for sitting down with us. This has been Alex from America Part 2, and we're the Good Noise Podcast.